This is Linda Favela, Psalm 42. It's one of 11 psalms credited to the sons of Korah. There's an amazing story behind that. When I researched the Levitical music division called Sons of Korah, I assumed surely they didn't name themselves after the Korah who rebelled against Yahweh in the wilderness, that they must have named themselves after some other Korah with a good reputation. God famously rebuked that Korah in the wilderness by cracking the earth open and closing it back on him. It was said he and his fellow rebels went down to Sheol alive, Numbers 16:30. It was one of the most egregious acts of rebellion and spectacular rebukes from God in Bible history. But God spared Korah's sons, Numbers 26:11. So hundreds of years later, when the descendants of Korah formed up as a Levitical music division in the time of David, surely they would want to cover up their ancestry and not advertise it, right? Wrong. The sons of Korah wanted to remember who they were so they would fear God throughout their generations. And they wanted to remember God's kindness in preserving them. If God hadn't held himself back from killing the sons of Korah, none of them would have ever been born. So they owed their existence to God's mercy and didn't want to forget it, and they didn't want to forget the fear of the Lord. One of David's chief musicians, Heman, was directly descended from Korah in his male-to-male line, 1 Chronicles 6:31-38, and maybe the whole division was literally descended from Korah, or at least they took up the name as the name of their division. We're probably all sons of Korah in the sense that we've had ancestors that were so evil God wiped them out, yet he spared their sons in his mercy, and thanks to that we were born. Verse 1. For the chief musician, a contemplation by the sons of Korah. As the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul pants after you, God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? My tears have been my food day and night, while they continually ask me, where is your God? Comment in verses 1-3, the speaker is deeply thirsty for God. He wants to appear before God in verse 2. He doesn't want to die, he just wants God's fellowship, God's presence. In verse 3, his tears ask him, where is your God? It's an excellent observation. Anytime we shed tears of sorrow or distress, it's because God seems distant. Our tears are asking us, where is your God? Coming up, there was a time he felt close to God, but that feeling is gone. Verse 4. These things I remember and pour out my soul within me, how I used to go with the crowd and led them to God's house with the voice of joy and praise, a multitude keeping a holy day. Comment in verse 4, he was joyous in the past when he visited the tabernacle on holy days, as he approached it among the crowds going with him. God seemed near back then, but now he's distressed and God seems far off. Coming up, he can't put his finger on why God seems so distant. Why does he feel this way, he wants to know. Verse 5. Why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you disturbed within me? Hope in God, for I shall still praise him for the saving help of his presence. My God, my soul is in despair within me. Therefore I remember you from the land of the Jordan, the heights of Hermon, from the hill Mizar. Deep calls to deep at the noise of your waterfalls. All your waves and your billows have swept over me. Comment in verse 5, the speaker is actively taking up faith that though he doesn't feel God's presence right now, he trusts he will, quote, for I shall still praise him for the saving help of his presence, end quote. In verse 6, the land of the Jordan River is very low in elevation, below sea level. Hermon's the highest mountain in the region. The speaker says he'll remember God at his lowest and highest times, and everywhere in between. He won't let his feelings dictate his faith. He'll make his faith dictate his feelings. In verse 7, he describes what's going on inside him as something like the noise of waterfalls and the actions of waves and billows inside him. He's having overwhelming feelings and fluctuations in his soul. The fluctuations are from God, calling him to seek God. The waterfalls, waves, and billows are yours, meaning God sent them. Coming up, the speaker's still confused and confounded, but he's applying his faith to the situation that God will come through for him. Verse 8. Yahweh will command his loving kindness in the daytime. In the night his song shall be with me, a prayer to the God of my life. I will ask God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? As with a sword in my bones, my adversaries reproach me, while they continually ask me, "Where is your God? Why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you disturbed within me? Hope in God, for I shall still praise him, the saving help of my countenance and my God." Comment in verse 10, the speaker's adversaries are like a sword in his bones. They're causing him great pain. They're mocking his faith, asking him, "Where is your God?" In verse 11, the speaker knows God is present, and therefore he has no reason to feel distressed, yet distress is all he feels. He's telling himself, "Come on, man, have faith, and promising himself, I will. In the last verse, God will be the saving help of his countenance, meaning he'll help him so much that his facial expression will reflect it. He'll be feeling a lot better. Psalm 43 is next.